What's up, everyone? Welcome to Level 7. It is time for another episode of the Agents of Fandom podcast. I'm your host, TJ Zwarich. We got a very special episode talking about some Wonder Man ahead of us, and I am joined. I gotta get used to saying a new script because I always say as always because it had been Damon with me for such a long time. But now we got this amazing rotating crew of Jam, Damon, and Sean who have been hanging out co-hosting with me. I got to change my script up because it's not an as always, it's a different crew, but still my guy Jam joining me to co-host talk some Wonder Man. How you doing, Jam?
I'm doing well, man. Thank you for having me well, I guess I can't say as always either, right? I gotta but thank you always for having me. I just put out my Wonder Man episode like 30 minutes ago. Me and my guy Dennis from the alternate timeline, we just did our Marvel Monday where we host unofficial Doomsday podcast. So we just finished that like around 6:00. It's been a great eventful Monday so far. Can't wait to dive into Wonder Man with you guys.
Couldn't agree more. And joining us as well, someone we've had on, I can't remember the last time actually, but we just had his co-host of Listen 3000 on last week to talk a little tease of Wonder Man as well as some Daredevil. Now we got the other half here as well. Caesar, my guy, how you doing? Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too, man. I'm doing well. Thanks for having me back. It's been a while. I don't know, but I'm excited. I'm excited. Thanks for having me, man.
I didn't get to go to New York Comic Con this year, and I missed you. I
wasn't there. It worked out kind of perfectly for us. Next time.
We'll see. I'm not as a Canadian. I'm picking and choosing my times to enter your country right now, if I'm being fair. And so I'm hoping things can settle and I can get back into the New York Comic Con of it all because we have made some incredible memories there. Joining us as well today, very excited to introduce our next guest, one of my personal inspirations to do this ever since she started co-hosting a podcast of a different name of a while back, but now the Phase Hero podcast, which we all love, as well as one of the best up-and-coming YouTube channels in the world, frankly. Go read some comics. Jenna Anderson, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for the intro. You guys always just say the sweetest stuff, and obviously, like, we are so honored to be such a key part of you guys' journey. But like being like you're one of the best YouTube channels ever is like definitely inflating my ego in the best possible way.
It's true. Like, for one, as like a fan of this stuff in terms of just how informative it is, but is there a better seal of approval than from James Gunn just being like, this is the one, I use this one when I need to know some info? Like, that kind of sets it in stone. So definitely go subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. We'll talk about that a little bit more later. And, like and subscribe to this one as well. Hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell on YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. 5-star review if you don't mind. If you'll take the time, that would be lovely as well. And we got a lot of fun stuff to talk about today. But before we dive into any of the Wonder Man stuff, I would like to know from each of you what you're watching. And so often in Damon's case, when he's here, it could be what you're reading. And so I would love to actually ask that to Jenna as well, to know what comics you've been reading. But music, books, TV, movies, video games, whatever, what have you. Jenna, I'll throw it to you first. What you've been watching?
So in terms of reading, I just did a video about the Absolute Universe last week. And so there were a couple books that I was a couple issues behind on and kind of did a more comprehensive read all the way through. And it's so nice because now I can like more concretely like shove books in other people's hands and be like, go read this. It's like 8 issues in and it's incredible. Like, go do that. And then in terms of just watching stuff, just watched People We Meet on Vacation the other week or the other day. And I've been meaning to watch that for a while. I love Emily Henry, whose book inspired that movie. And it is just such a good, fun, romantic comedy. Like, it feels like a romantic comedy that we haven't had in like 30 years. Like, it's so nice. It is so watchable. So like, I know that's not really Marvel DC, but it is very good. Highly recommend it.
Heck yeah. I love to hear it. Caesar, how about you? What have you been watching?
Everything and nothing at the same time. I watched the Grammys last night. That was I enjoyed it. That was a good time. But no, outside of, what have I been watching? I got a movie pass, so honestly, anything that's coming out, I'm kind of, if I get a chance in the only 3 weeks that we get to to go see it, I try to get in and see it. What was the last thing I saw? Primate, I guess. That was the last one I saw. That was fun. So I'm gonna say Primate.
Jam, how about you? I know you always got some good anime for us.
Man, you know me. Dennis actually jokes. He's like, I don't know how you do it. You read, game, manga, anime, comic books, TV, going to the movies. So last night, me and my lady, we went to go see Send Help. Really I had a good time with that one. It was like Sam Remy. It has like wackiest. It's just fun. It's a fun time. Um, we're also watching Dragon Ball because after our announcement, you know, the Dragon Ball anime is coming back. So my lady has never seen the original, so we're kind of like going through it. We're gonna do Dragon Ball, then Z, catch her up. As far as reading, I'm kind of right there with Jenna. I picked up my comic books Sunday, so I'm this week's behind, and I usually try to read them all on Tuesday, so then that way I'm ready for the next Wednesday. Absolute Universe, the Ultimate Universe is ending. I'm sad, but a lot of anime, man. Sentenced to be a Hero, Full Fire Force. It's I could go on a whole tangent, but a lot of good stuff, a lot of good anime. And one thing I did really want to highlight was Wonder Man, what we're here to talk about today. So it's exciting to be here to talk about this.
I just finished a rewatch of Wonder Man last night. It came in at perfect timing. But the show that I've been watching recently was I very first time watch for me, and that was HBO's Watchmen. It kind of had just slipped through the cracks for me. I don't know if maybe I was kind of young when it came out and then I just never got back to it. But I knew that it was like the one comic book property that was like the biggest gap. I had seen pretty much everything else since I've been born, other than that. And I haven't seen the Watchmen movie either. And so I'll get to that, but that was a little lower on my priority list. I have now finished HBO's Watchmen, and I am happy to say it was pretty incredible. It was pretty incredible. Loved it. Twists and turns throughout. Really, really strong show. I've also been playing I had just finished my first Assassin's Creed game ever. And so I've been just like chalking off a few first of like things that have slipped through the cracks for me. And so I did Assassin's Creed Odyssey just because I've been in such a Greek mythology mood with Percy Jackson season 2 and then the Odyssey coming later this year. And so I have a ton of fun playing that one. Just started Assassin's Creed Valhalla. That was the next one that I put onto my list. And I think after starting it, I was just like so mentally obsessed with Odyssey. Like it just occupied so much of my mind space when I was playing it that I started Valhalla and it kind of made me go, I don't want to go right into this. I need a break. I need a little bit of a pause. And so I think I'm actually going to put the PS5 controller down a little bit, get back into my movie mode. And I'm often a lot more productive when I'm in my movie and podcast mode anyways. But I've also been reading, listening to, I finished The Rise of Kyoshi and now I'm on The Shadow of Kyoshi in the Avatar The Last Airbender series. And so that has been just really, really awesome. Like Rise of Kyoshi, especially the end of it, truly, truly incredible. And now Shadow of Kyoshi, I don't want to, like, no spoilers, but there's just like these things happening that I have made like some audible yells of like, no, what are you doing? Why is he back? And just like it's a pretty incredible experience. I'm happy that I have started diving into the audiobook game because I've always listened to a lot of podcasts and I still have been listening to a lot of podcasts, but I have just started into audiobooks as well and on book 2 of January so far, and I'm really, really enjoying it. But I want to switch into Wonder Man. And before we dive into our thoughts on it, I did want to introduce a little bit of a new segment that I had prepared as well, because I posted this reaction for the show and I liked it. And I looked at a lot of other people's reactions as well. And my first thought was that, wow, Twitter comments make it really easy to just pick out the people to know who to block. I just got to go, oh yeah, telling on yourself, know where to block. But I also had talked to some people and I had thought, not everyone is in bad faith. Some people are just brainwashed as well. So sometimes it's good to go in with an open mind and to, try and educate, try and have good, honest conversations with people. And so we thought, why not put our best minds on it, get in the lab, and make our own AI here at Agents of Fandom. And it's an eco-friendly AI, It's not a big data center, doesn't take a ton of water to utilize it. All we got to do, send in a little protein powder, send in a 6-pack of beer. And ladies and gentlemen, we asked Chad GPT, is Wonder Man racist because of the race swap to the character?
No, it's not. See, there's nothing inherently power up. Inherently wide about Simon Williams in the comics. It's not even a part of his character. It's not relevant to his story, man. White characters were just the basis of 99% of superheroes in 1964 when he made his first appearance in Avengers #9, bro. Although, I will give you that making Simon Williams black and Haitian in the show does mean they made quite a few changes from his comic book backstory. His new background allowed them to craft a much more human-centered backstory rooted in family, which matched the tone of the show and made Simon more authentic and relatable. I mean, bro, how many more white, rich billionaires do we really need in the world, both our real world and the MCU real world? I don't know. Chad 3.0 is not sure on that one. Anyways, there were like 12 total people who cared about Wonder Man before this show, bro. Like, it's not like this is some universally beloved character worldwide, like, I don't know, Goku. Dude, you know that he wasn't even a regular character in the Marvel Universe until 13 years after his creation, due to legal reasons, when he was permanently revived in Avengers 177. I mean, the primary story beat for Simon Williams throughout that entire time is that his brainwaves were the basis of Vision. And since Vision's already in the MCU, yeah, it had to change anyways. Lastly, reverse racism, it's a myth, bro. While there can, will be, and is prejudice, the term racism isn't correct because for it to be racism, the offending group would need to be in a systematic place of power. Well, that's the end of my power. I can't dive into anything else. Send another 6-pack for more answers from Chad GPT. That's me. Deuces, ooses. Yeah.
Thank you, Chad GPT. Like we said, eco-friendly. All we got to do is send him a 6-pack of beer. And so, money's tight right now. I can't do it super often, but we want to protect the planet. So instead of using, a Chat GPT, a Grok, something like that, we got our guy Chad GPT ready to rock here. First reactions for Wonder Man, keeping it spoiler free for now, and also diving into, because we do have Jenna and Jam, I know you're a comic guy as well. I don't need anyone to, dive into the full comic history of Wonder Man, but I would love to know from each of you if there are Wonder Man storylines from the comics that you would like to see this version of Simon Williams partake in going forward. What would those be as well? So Jenna, I'll throw it to you first. First reactions to Wonder Man. What did you think of this series?
I thought it was so good. To me, it is like nearly perfect for what it needs to be. There are a couple things that I wish it could do a little bit differently. I wish that also it was kind of being marketed and like celebrated to the degree that it like really should be. I feel like if this project came out in like early phase 4, everyone would be talking about it and it would be worthy of that level of discussion because it is such a great show. Everyone is just incredible across the board. Like we'll talk about more on like a performance angle, but like Yaya and Ben Kingsley just absolutely crush it. Like I could watch them talk back and forth for hours, which is like all you need in a situation like this. From a comic perspective, like the show was just kind of explaining, it isn't accurate to the comics. Like his lore is so specific and is already so needing to be retooled anyway within the context of the MCU. I never expected an exact one for one. If anything, I want to see him just interact with the like hypothetical fictional part of the Marvel like acting community a little bit more. There are so many celebrities, there are so many actors in the Marvel universe, like in the comics, that I would love to have seen more of that in this show instead of kind of the very real people that we utilized and referenced all the time. But I still think they did such a great job.
There was the odd like small Easter egg. There was like a picture of I can't remember Kingo's characters, like, or I guess it was just Kingo, but a couple Kingo. I think there was a Kingo poster in the background, a Rogers the musical. But like you said, for the most part, it was almost all in our reality kind of thing, which had its fun moments. But also, I watched your. It was funny. I watched the Phase Hero episode on Wonder Man last week. And after you and Jamie brought that up, it wasn't something that I clocked even a little bit when I was watching the show of like, hey, wait, this guy's actually in the MCU and they just brought this up. I didn't think of that at all when I was watching it the first time. And then in my rewatch, I couldn't unnotice it. I was like, damn it. Oh, there's another one. There's another one. Oh, damn it. There's another one. And so that was a really good point that I hadn't thought of. Caesar, how about you? What did you think of Wonder Man?
I loved it, to be honest. It was a show that I don't really, again, I'm not, like you kind of pointed out, I'm the only one that isn't like, I guess, comic savvy when it comes to knowing knowledge about it. I get it from my friends, group chats, and looking stuff up, really. And outside of that, I just know the movies as a fan. But because of that, it really made me enjoy it because I didn't have any expectations. So the fact that we didn't get, what was it, only one fight, maybe two fights? Maybe it was like 1.5, something like that. But regardless, I didn't mind. I really got to just enjoy exactly what the story was and all the performances for what it was, being in this acting sense. I thought it was so trippy, like you guys said, the meta way that they used it. I guess we'll get into that, but like the way that they use role actors and not at the same time, it's actually interesting because then it's like if they're gonna mention Leo, can he like never come over now? Or is that like, anyway, I'm just confused. But I really enjoyed it though. I had such a great time. I honestly just want to know if we can get more. I just had an awesome time. Yeah, enjoyed it.
The one I couldn't help thinking of was like, he's on set of The Rookie, but Nathan Fillion was in space. Nathan Fillion, you're in space, and he was in my mind specifically just because of that, non-canon deleted part of Guardians of the Galaxy 2 where he was a Wonder Man poster, but that he was in my mind because of that. And then they bring up The Rookie, and I was like, wait,
like, how does this work?
We saw him in Guardians 3 already. But Guy Gardner always in the front of my mind. Jam, how about you? What Wonder Man? What do you think?
It's funny because you guys saying that reminds me of that. I think it was a Spider-Man Homecoming. There was something like that too, a Star Wars reference, and then I forget what actor it was, but that actor is in the MCU, and I'm like, so when Peter looks at this person, do they see that Star Wars character or? But I really loved it. I was telling Caesar, we have a group chat called the Wakandan Council, and I told them after thinking about it more, after talking with them and thinking about it more, it's easily one of my top 10 favorite MCU shows. I would honestly say it's like 6. Like I said 6 or 8, but I'm just sticking with the 6. It's like an honorable mention of the top 5 because I do have some other love for other shows for other reasons. But this was just so good. It felt like an actor's show. Like if you're in that, if you've ever done theater, if you've ever performed in any of the arts, like you're going to appreciate this. Like Caesar said, the whole meta aspect of being in Hollywood, but not like they had a Wicked poster up and we just got the Wicked Part 2 movie. So things like that, I really appreciated. As Jenna mentioned, we'll probably get into it, but Yah's performance, Ben Kingsley performance, their chemistry, and Rico brought this up in our group chat, but who would have thought like a dude from New Orleans and like England would just have this crazy dynamic together? So it was phenomenal. I really appreciated it. And it felt like a breath of fresh air from what something that we needed for superheroes, specifically the MCU overall.
Full spoiler warning for Wonder Man now. We will dive into all 8 episodes, and I want to talk first about that duo, about Yahya Abdul-Mateen II and Ben Kingsley as Trevor Slattery. It's just they're so amazing together. Like if this show had just a completely mediocre plot and no side characters of interest, and it was just these two hanging out for 8 episodes, I still think I probably would have enjoyed the show, because it's just two high caliber, top tier actors with great chemistry in a story about friendship above all else. And that was kind of, I think, the clear highlight. Jam, what did you think of the two of their performances? And then outside of the duo, were there any other of the acting performances that really stood out?
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned it right there. As an anime fan, right? I always gotta love the power of friendship being a trope, right? Like that's literally how we beat villains, and that's kind of how we beat. We'll get into that later, but that's kind of how we beat the big bad here, right? Their chemistry was amazing. I think in some moments, I text our chat again. I got emotional in some of these moments, especially the scene when Trevor has to talk Simon off the edge, right? Like in the audition part. The only other person that I felt like really stood out for me was somebody we'll probably get into a little bit, but I really loved Simon's brother a lot. Like I think he did such a good job playing into the whole older brother trope. With me personally, I have an older sister, she's 10 years older than me, and she kind of helped raise me. And so I feel like seeing that like as a surrogate father for Simon and having so much to prove to Simon, it meant I felt that on a personal level. And then when the older brother is being that older brother, you're making the family look bad, X, Y, and Z. I'm like, oh man, like you just never really understand until you have that person in your life. And so for me, I always joke like my mom is gonna be like Simon's mom. She's always gonna baby me. She's always gonna be proud of me, right? No matter what I do. My sister is the one that I'm really trying to make proud through my life. And so I resonated with that a lot until so to see his performance, which in the comics he's the Grim Reaper, it felt like that's was all that was needed essentially to for that family dynamic. So I really appreciated him a lot. I forget the actor's name. I always forget his name, but he was great, man. He was absolutely great.
I knew nothing about their dynamic in comics other than that he was the villain, the Grim Reaper. And so I kind of had that in the back of my mind as I was watching this show for the first time. And so I was definitely thinking there was going to be a villainous turn, just like Simon thought there was going to be a villainous turn, like during the interview where he was like, "No, my brother's been waiting for this moment to ruin me," and then it actually ended up being nice things. And that was a big twist for Simon. That worked as a big twist for me too, because I was kind of expecting him to continue being an asshole, and then you just end up being like, this was his perspective. He's actually a good guy. Oh my gosh, he's so proud of him now. Oh, families are complicated. And it ended up being like a nice twist that I didn't expect. Jenna, what did you think of the Trevor Simon dynamic? What were some of your favorite moments between the two of them? And then were there any of the other there weren't that many other like outside of Simon's family and Janelle, his agent, like there weren't. And then of course the head of the DODC, or not the head, but the DODC guy from Spider-Man and Ms. Marvel. Outside, like there's not that many other characters in this show. But what did you think of the main two? And then were there any other standouts for you?
Like you said, I could have watched the main two just talk for hours. Like I think they had such a good dynamic, and it is kind of a miracle to me that like Trevor Slattery gets introduced as this character over a decade ago in a very kind of like controversial, almost problematic context where everyone's like, is this how we're really doing the Mandarin? Like, what is going on here? We have a twist upon a twist upon a twist. And it's like to make him still all of these years later keep getting better as a character and keep feeling more like a person despite being something that there's like no precedent around, no expectations around. Like it is so impressive how much he just is like enjoyable to watch. And like him and Simon, I just love that Yaya makes Simon just feel like a real human being. Like as much as everything is ridiculous around him and as much as you could have easily portrayed him as this big cocky actor, like he feels so authentic to just like a struggling actor in his circumstances. And I thought that was really refreshing to see. I also really liked Olivia Thirlby as his ex-girlfriend. Like I know she's in like 2 scenes in the entire show, but I think she does a really good job. Like I love her as an actress. She was on the Why the Last Man TV show that only ran for 1 season, but adapted a really, really great comic. So I was happy to see her, even if it was just very, very briefly.
Caesar, how about you? What did you think of the main two? Anybody else stand out for you?
It's kind of hard because it's really only a few, like you guys said, and everyone's saying like great things. But again, like Jenna said a bit, it's just Ben Kingsley is also come on, it's Ben Kingsley, so that's obvious, and he's already been great as Trevor already. So I already knew what to expect, even though we got to see such a different dynamic from him. That was so beautiful to see too, so much emotion from him. But for Yaya, it was just like, man, you're just like a person. You're just just a guy, and I love seeing you. And it's crazy because he's also like not that nice, but like like he's almost likable and not likable character. So it's interesting that he's so good that he just makes you stay with him the whole time. I'll follow him to whatever ends. You know what I mean? But it's hard to say a standout. But I will say his agent, or I'm sorry, his manager. I'm not sure who the actress's name is, but I've seen her in The Blackening. That's only the only other project that I've seen her in, and she's been funny and great every time. Kind of a similar role, but she's hilarious. So I guess that'll be my extra standout. But everyone was great to me. The chemistry is the reason that the show could be as good as it is, because it's not much going on. It's just people conversing and dealing with their passion for acting. And I think that was the dopest thing about it.
One of the things I love about this show is that, kind of like you said, not every part of Simon is overly likable. The first time we meet him, the very first scene we meet him in, it's just so hard to say anything other than it was just cringe. Like you're watching it being like, oh no, just like secondhand embarrassment. It felt like I was watching like season 1 of The Office at times, where it's like, don't do that. No, where is the social awareness? But then you get to know, like, and so it kind of starts you at this point of like, and then with his girlfriend leaving him, it kind of starts you at a point of like, no one likes this guy.
I don't like
you don't like this guy. No one likes this guy. And then as you get to know him more, as Trevor brings him out of his shell a little bit more, you fall in love with him with each episode, and you go, oh, this is why he's like that. This is who he is. He's a human being, and you fall in love with him. And so really, really well done. And it kind of starts you in the opposite end of how most superhero stories do, I feel like, where it kind of starts up high and then goes downwards. He starts at rock bottom, and then it's a heavy climb, which I guess is, never mind, common story as well. I'm kind of, I don't know where I'm going with that. But before we switch into the next thing that I had on the rundown, I kind of realized I've skipped something. And since the people are talking about it in chat, with Josh Gad singing a rated R version in Summer, what did we think of the Doorman episode? I kind of forgot to put that in the rundown specifically. This, I think, is so funny because we had Damon on the last show, and where we just did our like spoiler free for the full 8 episodes, but a little bit of a more in depth for episodes 1 to 4, when we also talked about the Daredevil trailer last week, and he hated it. He says he took him out of the show. He was just so invested in Simon's story that when it took the left turn, it was not for him. And then the chat was like, I don't know, I think it was pretty cool. And then more reviews and reactions have come out of this show, and it kind of seems like it's the consensus favorite episode for most people. And so Damon got dunked on a little, and I think that's kind of funny, but we love you so much, Damon. Jenna, what did you think of the Doorman episode?
As I think was said at some point during the Phase Hero episode about it, it is the best Atlanta episode that's not from Atlanta. Like it is so tonally just like completely unlike anything else that the MCU has done. And I really kind of admired Swinging for that. I do agree with Damon to a slight extent, because it's like, it's crazy we're still in the Disney Plus trope of like needing episode 4 to be a detour and go somewhere else. Like we did that all the way back in WandaVision, and it kept being a thing in so many of the different shows. And so it was crazy, like all of these years later, to like still have that happening. But I think like, I'm glad that it exists. I'm glad that it was like as comprehensive and as weird as it was. Like I think it was a big swing that it ultimately like did pay off in the context of the show.
The part that I agree with the most from what he said is like, if we were, and I will take any chance I can to condemn the streaming age of television, where the norm went from 20 plus episodes to 13 episodes to 8 episodes to 6 episodes. Now we're getting some 4 episodes, and it's like, come on, give me more TV. Like, I like my side quests. I like my filler episodes. I like my bottle episodes. I like my detours. But when there's only 8 episodes, I also want to stay with my main story. I don't feel like I have time for a side quest when I only have 4 hours of television instead of 10 plus hours, 20 plus hours, depending on the type of show that you're going with. And so I do think it was, especially on a rewatch, I liked it a lot more because I knew it was coming, and it wasn't like, oh, but I was what was I wanted to stick with the story I was on, and so when I knew it was coming, I liked it a lot more. But it was one of those things that I think it would have been even better if in a longer series. Always, I'm greedy. I want more. Give me more of this stuff, as opposed to the 6 to 8 episode thing. Caesar, how about you? What did you think of the Doorman episode?
I for one, I think it's really cool that it's such a hated or loved episode. I think that concept alone makes it kind of a classic in itself with most things in life and entertainment. But I personally really enjoyed it. It's same with what Jenna said. It was such an Atlanta episode. Even the guy that played Doorman gave me Atlanta. Like I'm like, what? There's something about you that's just so funny, but also so serious in this weird way. And the black and white, like it was. I like that it almost took me out. I can also admit that it wasn't needed to almost give us so much of that, unless that they're gonna bring him back later. We see Doorman and the DODC at some point or something like that. But otherwise, we didn't probably need to go through it. But I really enjoyed it. I had a fun time. And yeah, Josh Gad. I just hope that he's okay. That's all.
Chat, Carlos's theory in the chat is saying that Josh Gad will be the Spot in the MCU now, and it'll just be as Josh Gad because he's going to get these powers from being inside Doorman for so long. And that's how the Spot will be born in the MCU. Jam, what do you think of the Doorman episode?
It's funny for me because I'm opposite of what Caesar just said. I don't hate it, but I don't love it. I liked it. I thought it was a solid show, solid episode. However, it did slow the momentum for me a bit, and I think that was kind of the point. We talked about it again in our chat, the Wakanda Council, but I feel like this could have been like a 15, maybe 20-minute montage. Rico mentioned it on my pod. If anything, it could have been at the end of episode 3. You just added extra like 10 minutes to that episode because it really was supposed to give us the point of why the doorman policy exists, why Simon can't have his powers outed. So I felt like it was good in overall. The biggest thing that I loved a lot was the Roxxon connections because we got so much of extra Marvel television with Cloak and Dagger, with Agent Carter. So it's kind of like, well, is that stuff canon now, or is it like, one of those situations? I do think, backtrack a little bit. The older brother of Simon, the actor's name is Demetrius Gross. I hate leaving actors' names out, so I had to put that in there. But yeah, Damar Ding Dong Davis, I thought to Caesar's point, he felt very Atlanta. Like it was just like watching an episode of Atlanta, as everybody's mentioned here. It was somebody I seen, I think it was Woosh Studios online that actually put that. I was like the first person I heard say that. And the whole thing, we talked about it again, Caesar, with Zen in our chat, is does Damar really deserve to be in prison? Right? Because I think that whole focus there, and this is gonna be me, me, TJ. I always got to get into the deep representation of things, but for me, that felt like Hollywood utilizing a black man, and it's like, okay, we can get everything out of you and then toss you to the side, and because you did this mistake, now you're put in prison. But it's like Wanda kills people, and she's an Avenger, right? Like the guy made a mistake; he didn't know how to control his powers, so instead of being put in prison, maybe he should have had maybe the government should be watching him, trying to help him control his powers, maybe trying to save Josh Gad, opposed to just. And do we know he's in the prison of DODC? Is that just like the implication, or like we don't really know, right? So then maybe we get a Cloak reference in the future, and they come get him out of the Dark Force or whatever. But it's just made my head go through a lot of those. So I felt like that. I didn't love the episode because it kind of took me out of the momentum first watch, but I didn't hate it like I've seen a lot of the internet. I felt like it was just a solid episode that could have maybe been shortened, and I know you want more, but I felt like it could have been just a montage, a quick montage, and that's all I would say.
I think that makes sense as well. In an 8 episode set, a shorter montage that, and then bring us back to the story in that episode. A full episode, at least if it's going to be a full episode, we need at least 13. If it's going to be a full episode, we need at least 13. I think that would kind of be the way to go about it. But Jam, I'll keep it with you. I want to talk about Simon's family. And you've brought up the brother a couple times, and he really did an incredible job in this series. You kind of, once we start falling in love with Simon and he's just a dick to him, it's easy to say, screw this guy, I don't like him. But as you dive into their relationship a little more, it hits you in the feels at the end when they actually are at the movie premiere together. But most of all, outside of the brother dynamic, I fell in love with his mom. His mom was so sweet. I would do anything for her. It's like, give me in a perfect world where every MCU project was still making $1 billion and there was no pandemic, there was no strikes, because the world was just turning and everybody was happy. I would want my spin-off series of Mama Khan, Kamala's mom, and Simon Williams's mom just hanging out, having like a weekly coffee, chatting about their lives. That would be incredible. I love this woman.
I really loved his family. One of my closest friends, he called me yesterday, because I believe yesterday was when we recorded my podcast episode. And he's Haitian, and he's like, I finished Wonder Man, and when they were speaking Creole, I understood everything without the subtitles. And I was like, shout out to Rico, but not our Rico Caesar, a different Rico. But he was like, yeah, he's like, bro, I love this show. Like the fact that we have representation for like my people. And I was like, so making, first off, as Chad GPT, Chad 3.0 said, when a character is changed by their race or ethnicity or their gender, and it's not integral to their character, I'm all for it. It's always one of those things you don't really know when you're in the casting department what that looks like, how hard it is. Are you trying to be as accurate to the character as possible, or are you trying to just find the best actor for the role, right? That's always one of those things. So I could only imagine how hard it is for the casting department. But for this, that's, as again Chad GPT said, that's not integral to who Simon is. So, but it is who Ya is. Ya is from the West Indies. And so the fact that they incorporated that into his character, first off, was beautiful. His family, you really feel for Simon in that moment on his mom's birthday, because you get a sense of how alone he feels in a room full of everybody that's supposed to love him. They don't really believe in his goals or his dreams. And so I felt that in a lot of the sense, because you have a lot of things with as a creative, right? In a lot of the spaces that what we do, you don't really see the work ethic or the progress that we put in. It's always just the results, and that's what people see when we post things or when we show out to places. So I found that very interesting. As I said, on a personal level with his brother, that hit me at home. But his mom, man, I think my favorite scene with his mom was when Trevor comes and he's like, you should not be washing dishes on your birthday. Like, and she's like, oh, but I just clean as I go. Like, in so many ways, like, as I'm Puerto Rican, if y'all can't see the flag, like, that was such a like Caribbean island thing. Like, I'm like, oh my God, like you don't know. It hit me again. There's so many things about this series that hit me at home, but I really love that they represented Ya's actual like culture a lot in this series. So that was like my biggest standout.
Caesar, how about you? Talk to me about the family dynamic. Did you love Mama Williams as much as I did?
Of course I didn't. Yeah. I mean, honestly, and I didn't have to make this one obvious, but I'm black. But because anyway, but because of that, like she just gave me a black.
Chad GPT just to confirm. No, I'm kidding.
You can if you need. You can ask. No.
I'm out of beer.
But no, seriously, she just gave like such a black mom to me. I don't know how I can explain it, but just her energy, the way she spoke. Honestly, the entire family dynamic reminded me of if I go to my cousin's house for a party, if I go to a family reunion, it just gave that for me, and it felt really at home. Even down to the conversation of, I'm assuming it's his cousins, when they were like, did you meet any superheroes? And she's like, I love Captain America. Ain't he just a dude with a shield? And they're like, all right. The way they went about that just felt like me talking to my cousin. So I just, even if it wasn't the same representation, it still felt like I got a piece of that too. So I thought that was beautiful. But the mom in general, I mean, exactly what James said. That scene just brought it home for me in general. Honestly, the dynamic was so beautiful that once that scene happens where Simon crashes breaks the table, it hurt me. I'm like, man, we just had a great time. What do we? Come on, now you gave Trevor some stuff. Anyway, that's a whole anything. But I really enjoyed seeing them together and the way that they I don't know, it just felt like they really were a family, and I thought it was really dope to see. I loved it.
Speaking of the Captain America scene, real quick, they were 100% talking about Sam Wilson. Just FYI,
Oh, yes.
They were talking about Captain America. You know what I mean?
That was her man. Yep.
Jenna, what were some of your favorite moments with the family? At any point, did you think we were actually going to get Grim Reaper?
I like forgot about it, honestly, until I completely finished watching the show. And then I was like, oh yeah, I remember when they cast his brother and it was like billed online as like, we've cast Grim Reaper for Wonder Man. And I was like, it's crazy that between WandaVision having like concept art and having like the mask in the background of one of the animated sequences, and then this show, it's like we almost got him twice, but we also didn't. But I agree. I think like the context of how we get him in the show is so good that like I'm totally fine not having him suit up and become like, I'm your evil brother. I feel like it would just be Thor and Loki, like phase 1 level, like 2.0. But yeah, I loved his mom so much. Like when she's so excited about her birthday present, even if it's like technically bought with her money, like there's something really endearing about that. And even just the whole party scene when Trevor's like talking to the one aunt or the neighbor or whatever, and then kind of says to Simon, like, yeah, she was kind of a pill to talk to. And he's like just the level of being in that kind of like group social setting and like dealing with all of the different big personalities. I thought they like tapped into that in a very like nice, fun way.
I want to talk about the damage control part, and when we were, some of the people in chat were talking about Agent Cleary when we were talking about some performances, and my first thought when I was watching this was like, I've had enough of this guy. He annoyed me in Spider-Man. He annoyed me in Ms. Marvel. He's annoying me again. And then I kind of realized, that's a good performance, because that's the point of this character. He's an ass. He just fucking sucks. Like every time he opens his mouth and every time we see inside the DODC more, and just the grossness of the prison industrial complex and how it is villainous, but it feels like it's supposed to be comic book villainy, but it's just real. It's just real and it sucks. But I want to punch him in the face. And I guess that's the point of this character, is that you're supposed to want to punch him in the face. Jenna, what did you think of Damage Control's role in this show? Do you think that's where Doorman is? Do you think there's anybody else? Like, if the next time we see this group, do you think there's anyone else like from the MCU's past that we could just see hanging out there?
It is kind of crazy realizing of like within the span of a year and a half, we still have the raft being a thing, because like Red Hulk and Leader are there, and yet Damage Control has this whole other separate prison. I wish that with Damage Control there was like more of a cohesive through line of like what they are actually building from project to project, and even like what the like larger populace of the MCU kind of thinks of superpowered people, because it seems like one project they love them, they're cheering on the new Avengers, the next project we have the Doorman clause going into effect. Like I wish that there was like more of an arc, because I know even the chat was saying this, the writing on the wall is like, oh, the Damage Control will eventually become Orcus or some sort of like X-Men level thing of like, we just don't like mutants and they'll evolve into being that. And like I could see that happening, but I wish we had even more already in place to get there. But I agree, like Arian Moayed is a great actor. Like he is so good on Succession. Like I love him as an actor. The role is very kind of mustache twirly, but I feel like that's what this show needed, and that's what the part needed. So like I was willing to let it go, but I agree with you. I was like, I wish that he had even more kind of meat on the bone in terms of like an arc.
Couldn't agree more. Jam, how about you? What were your thoughts on Mr. Mustache Twirl and the DODC's role in this show? Do you think that we could find out one day that this is led by Bolivar Trask or William Stryker or somebody like that, and we get the mutants side of things taking over Damage Control?
Everything Jenna said is literally what we talked about on my podcast that dropped today at 6:30 Eastern time. I have a crazy theory I'm just throwing out there. I really believe that it's going to be by Henry Gyrich. I think the Department of DODC, Department of Damage Control, can easily be turned into, from the comics, Department of Mutant Affairs. It's just a simple layup. I don't, to your earlier question, I don't know who we would see from the past that's in there, because same like Jenna mentioned, we have the raft that's there. So to me, the way I looked at, and they kind of gave us that in the context of the episode, of one of the episodes, but it feels like Damage Control they have an agenda. They're just trying to fill prison. They're just trying to fill cells in the prison. And so they don't really care. That's why Trevor was there. Trevor's not a powered being, right? But he's a terrorist. So one thing that Rico brought up on the pod was that this could be a place, because also it's in like the middle of like, not the desert. It's still kind of accessible to regular people, almost, where if you can drive from your home to there in a day for work, which we see from at the end of Chuck Eastman, it's still accessible. So if these people break out, they can't be that terrible, right? So it's kind of like these might be like eco-terrorists, or people that like don't really have, they're not really bad guys per se, and that's why the raft is still there. But this is just, again, an agenda to fill this place. I don't really know about, as far as how they're, to Jenna's point, we don't really know what they're going to do, because the whole thing was that they were thinking about making Simon a mutant, and they've played with that a little bit here in this series. But as far as I forget his name, but the agent, I like him. I like him in everything that he's in. He feels like that villain of the week in a comic book, right? Like, it's just, you're there, or villain of an episode, I guess, because was he in every episode? I think maybe except 2 or 3, but he feels like just that villain of the week to me. So I like him. I think Arian, how do you say his name? Where is it? I was looking at it. I missed it. Yeah, Arian. I think he's good, and I think he feels like what I would expect, kind of like a Men in Black agent to feel like. If you didn't know on the outside looking in, like they're trying to save us. He's not there. They're not trying to save us. They're a bad guy, right? Like, that's the bad guy. But that's how he feels to me. So I like him, and I think he does a good job. But I'm more focused on like my lens is the DODC and the vice president. He has somebody to answer to. We're assuming, or is it been reported? I'm not 100% sure if that's who Tillman is going to be in Brand New Day. But it kind of feels like, to me, when they're talking about their investors, my comic book red flag brain was like, that's got to be Henry Gyrich, man. It has to be. I don't see who else would be pushing for this. Yes, Bolivar Trask. Yes, Stryker. But they feel so much more, they feel so much more like Wolverine focused or Sentinel program focused, where this feels like I need to put people in prison, and I needed to do it for a reason. So that's kind of where I'm at with it.
Maybe it's Wilson Fisk. I want to see him in a Spider-Man movie so bad. I just want him in a Spider-Man movie so bad. Like, my core memories of Spider-Man are Spider-Man the Animated Series from the 90s. Like, that is, of all the comics I've read, it's the most Spider-Man. I've watched all of the cartoons, but that one is just so core ingrained in my brain, of watching every day at 6 p.m. that it was coming out. That wasn't a Saturday morning cartoon. That was a new episode every day at 6 p.m. for a week kind of thing. And at least it was here in YTV, here in Canada. It was YTV. That's where I was watching it on. But I want to see that so bad. I lost my train of thought. But Jenna, you had some really good points on the Hollywood meta aspect of this show that I want to feel free to. Anything you didn't get a chance to talk about on Phase Hero, get on the soapbox and feel free to rant about why this part bugged you, but also what were some of your favorite parts with that, and what do you think of the Joey Pants role, getting to see Ashley Greene at the beginning of this, and the meta commentary as a whole?
I loved parts of it, as I said on Phase Hero, and I'm literally like working on a video about this because I like keep thinking about it. I wish the show had decided whether it wanted to be in the real world, in the MCU, or in like a heightened kind of like the studio kind of parody world, because it tried to keep being in all three at the same time, and it didn't really succeed at being any one of them. And like, I would have almost loved it more if it was fully Joey Pants and Josh Gad, and kind of like these are people you recognize, but we're taking them to places that are so fake that like you can tell that this is a work of fiction. Like, I love Popstar, the movie from 10 years ago with the Lonely Island, and it is very much that kind of thing of like, we're referencing people every 90 seconds, but it's in such a ridiculous way that like, you know, this is not real. I I did like kind of the meta-ness of it, but even then, like some of the references, when you like peel back and think about the implications of it, Twilight existing in the MCU and like the domino effect that had to lead to Twilight and what Twilight led to afterwards. Like, if you don't believe me, look it up. My Chemical Romance is involved. Like, the fact that that is now MCU canon is very funny to me. But yeah, like again, I knew it was a Hollywood show. We would get some sort of references, but like I almost wish they had either gone with like characters from the comics who already happen to be actors, or they had gone with like more realism instead of kind of just like being in this weird middle ground.
Shout out to My Chemical Romance. Caesar, how about you? What were your thoughts on kind of at times they didn't lean into it as much as I thought it was going to prior to watching this show, but at times almost the Marvel version of the studio.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. Honestly, the first scene that we mentioned before about when he's what's someone help me? The American Horror Story scene where he's like being super annoying. That entire scene was super one shot, and like the way that they did it gave me the studio. Then after that, it wasn't really the same show. It kind of changed once we got Trevor involved. But I love that aspect of it. I thought the meta thing was cool, but this isn't the same thing what Jenna said, but I'm just so confused from what I mean earlier. Like this kind of, I don't know if this messes things up, but do you have to like variant explain things now if a new actor comes in? Because I think it's all fun and games, but it is confusing. So like that's my only thing. I can enjoy something for what it is and still be like, yeah, but it might be a problem down the line. So that's really the only thing I had to say about it. But I did thought it was super fun. I wish they through more cameos though. It's like you guys are referencing all these things. Why do we only have Josh Gad and Joe? Like I don't.
To your point about the characters, like even just characters who are already in the MCU who are in projects that are referenced in the show, of like Seinfeld gets name dropped, and I'm like, okay, does no one acknowledge that the director of the CIA who like created the New Avengers looks an awful lot like Elaine from Seinfeld? Like it is just a weird kind of thing where it folds upon itself the more that you think about it, which I know most people watching it are not thinking about it, but for a show that wants to be like a love letter to acting and a love letter to Hollywood, it's like people are going to naturally think about that, because even they say like Glenn Howerton and Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Tom Cruise, and it's like these are all people who auditioned for roles very famously in Marvel projects and didn't get them. So it's like that breaks my brain too, and it made me almost feel bad for knowing that, because it's like to anyone else that's just a casual reference.
Exactly. You just said Tom Cruise, so I guess that's a dub, right? That's
I mean, he was never going to be in the MCU to begin with.
You know, I'm
Tom Cruise is finally in the MCU, everybody. We did it. He's here.
But now it's like, man, exactly. It's too much of a domino effect. And I wish I didn't know, like you said, Jenna. I wish I was just so oblivious as a fan. But we're here now.
Jam, how about you? What were some of your favorite moments with that? Did you have any qualms with that aspect of the show?
I feel like Jenna and Caesar kind of hit it on the money with everything. To quote Stan Lee, right? Like Marvel is always supposed to be the window. Oh, you guys can't see my window, but they're the world outside my window, right? And it's like, okay, cool. But when you're mentioning people like Christopher Nolan, it's like, all right, well, now is Christopher Nolan not gonna direct a movie because we have the Von Kovac director? So I'm with you guys. It felt like that was something I said earlier. I think I texted the chat. See, I was like, this is like Marvel's version of the studio. Like that's what it feels like. And then as you go on, you kind of get back into the Marvel world, or a little bit more grounded with Simon and his family, and or the creative of following Simon, trying to follow his dreams, which I love that. Don't get me wrong, I love that. But when you kind of, to Jenna's point, bring in, okay, the real world aspect, now we're going to play with what the MCU canon is. It's just, like I mentioned earlier, does Peter really know when he looks at this character from Star Wars that it's Star Wars? It was Samuel Jackson. When you look at Samuel Jackson, do you see Nick Fury? Do you see Mace Windu? Like what is it? And so she brings up a good point with Seinfeld, and I forget the actress's name, not the actress's name, but I forget her character's name for Julia Louis-Dreyfus in the MCU. Valentina, right? Like she's with the Thunderbolt. Like, so it gets really like you muddy the waters a little bit, and it almost feels like we know how smart Marvel Studios is. I mean, they have the books, the timeline that people that they said. I think it was an article that said like Feige actually has people go through to make sure they're not messing up like little key things like that. But it's like, okay, if you're doing all of the work and the research behind it, for general audiences, I get it. They're gonna just have fun with it. They're gonna feel the meta aspect. But for fans like us and what we're doing, like where Jenna is making a whole video about it, what we're gonna talk about this. So they said enough. I'm with them. It's a lot.
It's enough to make me go, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense, but not enough to make me really care. Like, not enough to make me like upset about it. Just enough to make me go, hey, hold on, we gotcha. And on to the next thing. Kind of is kind of like how I feel about it. Is like it. We caught you. We caught you red-handed. But I want to talk about the twist at the end of this. With at all points, like, we knew Trevor was working for damage control. We knew at some point this was going to come to a head, and they were going to have to acknowledge it. Trevor came clean a little quicker than I was expecting, and that made me happy. Because I hate when a plot is just moving forward because the two main characters aren't telling each other the truth. Like, I hate the miscommunication or the lying to push the plot forward. And so I was really happy when he came clean as quick as he did, as soon as he was challenged on it. But the Mandarin thing, where he sacrificed himself to make sure Simon would get his movie. Jenna, I didn't see this coming even a little bit when I was watching, when I was just like fully into it. And I don't think it was my favorite part of the show, because my favorite was just like all the interactions, like especially in episode 6, getting to just see them like in the audition process, just hang out. That is like probably my favorite part of this show. But second on the list was this Mandarin twist at the end, and Trevor sacrificing himself for Simon. It made me tear up. And it was so cool to hear him do the voice again. What did you think of the big twist?
Like I said, I'm just amazed at Trevor as a character. Like, just being able to transform him into what he is and being able to use something like that and have us not be able to expect it. Like, we go into the show, we're like, oh, that's what we associate him with. Like, there has to be something with that. But even then, we were still surprised at like the context of it. But like, to you, what you were saying of like episode 6, when they're all just in the house doing the auditions and stuff, I still was amazed by the fake out moment when he punches the guy. I thought that was going to stick for like a second. And I was like, if they really commit to that, like, this show gets an extra like half-star rating for me, because that's insane. And like, obviously it was all in his head, but like, that would have been crazy if that had happened. And even like the ending of the show, like realizing it's like, oh, we're done with the premiere and we still have like 10-15 minutes left of the episode, like, where is this going to go? I loved seeing like kind of that last act that culminates in where we ultimately ended it. I thought that was such a like cool way to end it.
I got to piggyback off of Jenna really quickly, because she brought up the punch scene, right? I've seen this talked about online.
I think you're going to say what I was going to say.
Yeah. So he dreamt that. He dreamt that, right? He was dreaming that. And we know, based off of Multiverse of Madness, I think, that dreams are an alternate universe. So in another universe, Simon punched the guy through his face.
I got to see this man off. That's all. I just want to know where he's at right now. Like, what are you doing right now, Simon? Because you can't act no more. But anyway, I just want to know what's going on there. But yeah,
I need one more season of What If just for that. Just for that
like,
show.
What did you do the second that everyone saw you? Because we all looked, and they looked like how we looked. But anyway, yep.
Oh, that is a very good point. Jam, any other points on the finale twist?
I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm probably the evil one here. My lady had to talk me into that. I felt like it was a cop-out. I was like, oh, come on, we're doing the Mandarin thing. Now, I loved hearing the voice, and I love the bit, and I love, again, the anime fan in me, the power of friendship. But at first, my first reaction was like, no, man, I wanted something more. And then she talked to me, and she was like, but look at their whole dynamic on how they got there. And then I was just like, dang, you're right, it's good. It's really good. So I fell in love with it afterwards. But that was my first reaction. You know, I'm always honest. But yeah, after being talked into it, it hit me at home a little bit. And I rewatched just that one episode, because I needed more. I was like, I need to understand why everybody felt this way at first. And then going in with that perspective and that expectation, I was like, dang, this is good television. This is good television. Like, it just works. It works. So it didn't feel like a cop out. And I think they also played onto that with Arian's character, the agent. He's like, I'm gonna let you go along with this. I'm gonna book you for this, you know? And that's where I was like, they got me there.
Funny enough, the part that I had a problem with on first viewing was, and not a problem with, but I just kind of thought was like, meh, was when eventually Simon just flew him out of there. Like I liked the scene leading up to it. I liked the excuse to getting into the character, and then there's something about the flying out that just gave me, come on, if you're gonna give me something superhero, I want none of it or I want more of it. Don't tease me like that. But then when I rewatched it, it was just, I don't know. I think my head was just in a weird headspace when I watched it the first time, because when I watched it the second time, I was just so appreciative of like their friendship did so much for each other. They just meant so much to each other that it doesn't matter where they are in their lives. They had to be together. They had to be together. Like this was just a pairing that they did so much for each other's growth that if Trevor was going to sacrifice himself for Simon would have to do the same. And now it made me want a season 2. That's the tease. I don't know why the tease pissed me off the first time I watched, because the second time I watched, made me go, oh damn, there it is. Give me season 2. I want to know where he is now. Give me Jen Walters as his lawyer, because they're both on the West Coast and he's gonna need a lawyer now after breaking Simon out of the DODC, and sorry, Trevor out of the DODC. So that's kind of what, to me, one of the most exciting parts of this is this show has gotten the critical reception. The fan reception on this seems to be really, really high. Hopefully enough people watch it and we can get more. Hopefully enough people watch it and we can get more. Caesar, did you get any of those thoughts of like, I want some more action in this series? And what were your thoughts on the finale twist of Simon choosing friendship over fame?
Okay, just so I can clarify, because I get a little dumb sometimes. Are we saying the twist is when Simon saves him, or are we saying the
no?
twist
Sorry, the twist was when Trevor
the Mandarin again
becomes the Mandarin again to save Simon.
Cool. Honestly, the twist did get me like, wow, you did a lot to, I guess maybe in his mind that was the only way he was going to be able to save him, maybe, but that was a lot that you did to have to do that. But I thought that twist was really cool. For me, the scene where he has to admit it to him killed me. I was just like, because we knew this was going to happen. And once they did it, look, I'm calling him Yaya just because the acting was so good. But Simon's face, I felt for Simon. I was like, yeah, go blow up in that building, brother. Go do what you gotta. Get that off, man, because it's just too much. But the acting.
Do what you gotta do. You blow up a building, man. If you gotta blow up a
building,
nobody,
man.
I get it.
Hulk has done worse, but then, you know what I'm saying? We've seen worse in this world. But that scene leading up to it really was not the twist, but really the scene that made the twist something more for me. You know, like the buildup of it. I thought that was really cool. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, TJ. What was the first part of the question?
I don't remember. Did you want some more action in this series?
No, damn it. I didn't need it. I thought I would have like going into the show again. I don't know Wonder Man, coming from my perspective and lack of knowledge. So like once we got what we got, I didn't even care about the fight. It made the fight sick. It was like, oh, look at you for me, you know? So no, I would now want to see what he could do if we get a season 2. If we see him in Doomsday, if we see him somewhere else, like that's more for me now. When I would almost need it, you know what I mean, expecting it. But for this, no, they did such a good job at keeping this so like tamed, you know what I mean, and so grounded and so simple in such a nice way that once we got the little things that we got, they had me in the palm of their hand. That was good.
Caesar, you're a music guy. I want to ask you this one first. This show is filled with some pretty cool needle drops.
Yes, it is.
Did you have a favorite? Did you have one that stuck out to you? And did you have a favorite episode that stuck out?
Needle drop music wise, honestly, no, which is funny because I am the music person here. But I will say that's only because I feel like I was so just stuck in this being a real thing, you know, like we're talking about Josh Gad. We're mentioning it's so meta that I honestly didn't even look at it in that way. Maybe the music didn't stand out for me so much because of that, but it made it all one thing for me. So I really don't even remember in a way the specific ones that hit me. I guess it all became one thing. But my favorite episode is a mix between 5 and 6. I can't really pick, to be honest, because the build up to that scene, I love acting, man, too much. So they could act for days about them sitting in a tree and I would be okay. So like when they build up to them at that car and they get the call back, Jam again mentioned in our Wakanda chat, maybe we two were easily played, Jam, because I thought he didn't get the job too. I was nervous. I was like, brother, be prepared, you know. But seeing that scene was amazing, and then having everything that they had to go through to get to that just made that scene, that entire episode awesome for me. And then 6, when he has to go through the callback, and then he has to go through the scene of him punching him in the face, I really don't know. So maybe I'm just that. And they held it for a little longer than I thought. Jenna thought we were really going to go. If they did that, I'd have cried on the floor. I don't know what I would have did, because it was already too long for me. I was like, this can't be real, right? but yeah, I genuinely don't know. I'm stuck between 5 and 6. I'm sorry. I'm stuck.
I think it might have been 6 for me as well. And I think I thought the punch was real the first time. And then it was so funny to watch it on a rewatch where I'm watching it with Ava. And she's just like freaks out. And I'm just watching her, not the screen. And it was so good. It was so good. Jenna, how about you? Any favorite needle drops or favorite episodes that stand out? And do you think we see Wonder Man again? 2, where do you think it's most likely to get him? A season 2 or another project?
I've been thinking about favorite episode literally the entire time, and it's like I could make an argument for every single one. Like there's something, even like episode 2 when they're doing the self-tape, I think like it is such a good showcase of their dynamic. Like I do not really think there's a very weak episode out of the entire bunch. Favorite song, I don't know why my brain is going to in the finale when California starts playing, because I just having that song and like having the OC of it all in the back of my head, I was like, I cannot believe we are deploying this here, but I'm able to like recontextualize it somewhere that isn't just the opening credits to the OC.
It was so good. It was so good. That was my number 1.
Yeah. Also just like the end of the show, like having the needle drop from Midnight Cowboy as he's rescuing him from the prison. I thought that was such a nice touch when that was the movie that they met like at. I think that was really delightful. I want to see Simon again, and it sounds like we could, like it sounds like they want to make that happen. I selfishly want to get the West Coast Avengers because like that is a team I've wanted to see practically since the start of Phase 4. It felt like we kept getting all of the pieces, but we haven't actually seen them together. But I don't even know in like a post Secret Wars world when we have the X-Men and we have so many other toys to play with if like that's going to be an immediate priority. But I feel like there's a way to have him just kind of like in his own little corner and keep making this show or keep making stories like this, and people will tune in.
It kind of makes me sad to think about sometimes, because I am super excited for Doomsday. I'm super excited for Brand New Day, but I just can't help but feel like I don't like how quick Secret Wars is coming. Because if Secret Wars is coming, does that mean we're done with a lot of the stuff that we've just been recently getting? And I wanted Young Avengers. I wanted Young Avengers so bad. I would love to see a West Coast Avengers. I want mini team ups. I want big team ups. It just kind of I'm feels too quick for an ending to me when I didn't get to see any of these teams at their peaks or any of these characters at their peaks. I got introduced to all of them, and then I didn't get to see any follow-ups for any of them. And I just feel like we're missing out a little bit on getting to Secret Wars that quick, because there's so much other cool stuff we could still be doing. Jam, any standout needle drops or favorite episodes for you?
Yeah, same needle drop as Jenna. That OC one is peak.
California.
It was peak. It was so peak. Favorite episode, I'm actually right with Caesar. I'm stuck between 5 and 6. I love the whole trope of the actiony or like cops and robbers-esque. They have to go stop this guy from putting out his information into the world, and then it's like the drug thing from like Breaking Bad, and I thought that was hilarious. Like all of that stuff was amazing. And then you get to the audition where it's just you see some fine acting, emotional bits. I love that. But I do want to throw in theories, what we were just talking about a little bit of like trying to see maybe where we would see Simon again. Jenna brought it up with the West Coast Avengers. Everybody's kind of having this question, what's next for Simon? Like what's next for Wonder Man? And my only like thought is he has to be the one, like in the world based off the comics and in the world what the MCU is, he has to be the one to break the doorman policy. He has to be the one to be able to not only be a hero, but also go back to his life with acting. So there was a lot of people talking like, what happens from him now with that he broke Trevor out. My headcanon, I guess this is headcanon or theory, whatever, but the DODC knows who he is. They know his powers is now is ion-based powers. I could feel like because he broke Trevor out, they know it's him. That would be allowing them to put pressure on his family. Maybe his brother loses that insurance job. Could push him to become the Grim Reaper, XYZ. Do we really need that? No, but that's just my comic book brain working, right? But the West Coast Avengers thing really feels like with Armor Wars being up in the air, that kind of feels like that's what's needed. Like that's where the story needs to go, because we know the Stark Industries based off of Far From Home is going through a whole bunch of stuff, and the DODC was built with Stark Industries in collaboration. So it almost feels like Armor Wars with Rhodey and like Stark Industries, all of that needs to be played out. So I feel like what's next for Simon, to Jenna's point, would have to be the West Coast Avengers. And then if he shows up in Doomsday or whatever, that could easily be a way for the Hollywood of it to not care anymore about the doorman policy, right? Because that's essentially what happened with the Avengers. They saved the world from Thanos, and then and they were going through this. They were some of them, like Sam Wilson, like Steve Rogers, like Black Widow, they were fugitives. So it's easy for them to come back after they saved the whole world from Thanos. It could be an easy way for Simon to reappear into the world. I have powers. I helped save the world, but I'm still an actor, and I'm also a part of the West Coast Avengers. So that's kind of like MTF just said here in the chat, full pardon. That's kind of like my only like headcanon theory, I guess, that I would say.
Jenna, is there anything else on the series that we haven't got a chance to cover that you wanted to bring up? And I also did just think of a question on the spot that I'd love to ask you. Where would you, if you were making like a tier board of like those things that you see of like S tier, A tier, all the way down. If we have Wanda Maximoff and Thor and Captain Marvel as like the strongest characters in the Marvel universe, then there's some Guardians and the Super Soldiers and these different tiers of characters. Where do you think Simon Williams is now? Like, if he were to get a hold of his powers, how strong do you think he actually is? And then, any final thoughts on the show?
I think he's pretty comfortably between the A and B tier. Like you said, I think it's just like how much he can harness his powers and like the full unlocking of them. It's also like he's a character who's been published so infrequently in the comics that every time he got brought back, it was kind of like, let's give him this new power up. Let's make him like so much crazier in what he can like accomplish. So I think there's a lot of room to play with it, but like he could be as powerful as like Wanda. It's also a thing of like they have a romance in the comics. Like part of that is because they're so absurdly powerful.
I like that. And it really made me feel like the way they were diving into the ion of the powers, it really made me feel like they were trying to put him into the Monica Rambeau and Captain Marvel of it all. Like, I felt like, oh, if they were to make another Marvels movie, he's going to show up here, because that just kind of feels like it fits the power set. Jenna, where can the people find you on socials? Where can they find podcasts, YouTube channel, everything? Plug all the things you would like to plug.
It's at Hey It's Jenna Lynn on social media. You can listen to me yap every week on Phase Hero, which is over at Brandon Davis's YouTube channel and also available on all audio podcast platforms. And I have a YouTube channel, as we mentioned earlier, called Go Read Some Comics. So please go subscribe to that.
Definitely check it out. And we weren't overstating, and now pressure's on Jenna, because people are going to come. I mean, I feel like most of the people here probably already subscribe anyways. But if there's anyone new, they're going to be expecting top stuff, because like we said, one of the best upcoming YouTube channels in the world, in the whole world. And so make sure you guys check it out. James Gunn, seal of approval. Caesar, where can people find you on socials, and plug anything you would like to plug as well?
Cool. Thanks for having me again, my guy. Yeah, you can just check out Listen 3000. We haven't dropped an episode in a pretty long time. Just life. I have a child, whole thing, life be lifing. But we're coming back. We're coming back pretty soon. I don't have a date on that. But because of that, go check out Listen 3000 at Listen 3000 on all social platforms, all podcast platforms. And yeah, don't worry about me. Just check out the pod. Thanks again, Teach.
Jam, throwing it to you. Where can people find you? Where can they find your stuff?
Yeah, you can find my podcast YouTube only because I stopped doing the whole podcast actually. So I guess it's a YouTube channel, but that is Journey Across Media. We talk about everything: comics, manga, anime, movies, TV, video games, whatever medium you like. We talk about it. Try to have multiple guests on whenever I can. But you can follow me on all socials at Jam Session. Just replace the E with an X. You'll see my little guy, Poppy the pigeon. That's what I like to call him because I'm from New York, and pigeons are my spirit animal. That's me. So check me out.
If you want to see more of Jam stuff as well, you can check out. Look, if I go to agentsfandom.com right now, sharing it on the screen here on YouTube, #1 spot with the Dragon Ball Super Returns announcement written by Jam. Also, you can find Ryan's Send Help review, my Wonder Man review, and some rankings of the most anticipated shows and movies for 2025. A lot of, what did I just do? There we go. A lot of exciting stuff up on the website. Check it out. You can find us on socials at Agents Fandom on TikTok and Twitter, Agents of Fandom everywhere else. And you can also find us wherever you get your podcasts. Follow, subscribe, YouTube, 5-star ratings wherever you get your pods. I mixed up the order of those things, but that's okay. It's been a long day, everybody, and I'm thankful that you're here. So smash that like button if you're watching us on YouTube. Jenna, thank you so much for joining us. It's a true pleasure every time we get a chance to hang out. Caesar, I missed you. So nice to see you again. And Jam, great to see you as always. We got some fun stuff coming in like a couple months, though, like February, March, when we're going to be talking Invincible. We're going to be talking Paradise. We'll have another pod for Daredevil Born Again. So we're going to have lots of shows in the next couple months, but a bit of a quiet stretch over the next couple weeks. So we're going to find some time to fill. We'll do some fun stuff. We'll do some drafts. We'll probably do some shows for Super Bowl trailers and different things like that. So stay tuned because we got more fun stuff coming. In the meantime, you can check out my interview with Wonder Man head writer and executive producer Andrew Guest, now up on our YouTube channel and wherever you get your pods. Thank you so much for tuning in today, everybody. On behalf of myself, Jam, Jenna, and Caesar, we will see you next time. Peace.